Most people are waiting to be happy after life gets better. But the truth is, life gets better after you decide to be grateful. Gratitude is not a reaction to success, it's the foundation of it. When you learn to appreciate where you are, even when it's uncomfortable, you position yourself for where you're going. Today's message isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about understanding that gratitude has the power to change how you think, how you move, and how you rise. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful, and that shift alone has the power to change the entire direction of your life. Most people don't struggle because they lack ability, opportunity, or potential. They struggle because their attention is locked onto what they don't have yet. The human mind naturally magnifies absence. It keeps score of losses, delays, and unmet expectations. Gratitude interrupts that pattern and retrains the mind to recognize value in the present moment. When your focus is constantly on what's missing, dissatisfaction becomes your default setting. No achievement ever feels like enough because the mind immediately moves the goalpost. You get the job, but now you want the title. You get the money, but now you want more security. You reach one level, but instead of appreciating it, you're frustrated about the next one. Gratitude grounds you. It teaches you to acknowledge progress instead of dismissing it. And when you acknowledge progress, motivation grows instead of burnout. Shifting your focus to what's meaningful doesn't mean you stop wanting better. It means you stop being blind to what's already working. You start noticing the lessons hidden inside challenges, the strength you've gained from surviving difficult seasons, and the support that exists even when things aren't perfect. This awareness changes how you respond to pressure. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond intentionally. Instead of feeling defeated, you feel prepared. Gratitude also changes how you interpret hardship. When something goes wrong, a person focused on what's missing asks, "Why does this always happen to me?" A person rooted in gratitude asks, "What can I learn from this?" That question alone creates growth. It turns obstacles into teachers instead of enemies. Over time, this mindset builds resilience. Because you're no longer waiting for perfect conditions to feel confident or capable. There's also a psychological advantage to gratitude. When you recognize what's meaningful, your brain becomes more solution-oriented. You begin to see resources instead of limitations. You recognize skills you've already developed. You become aware of relationships that matter. That clarity improves decision-making and reduces anxiety. Because you're no longer operating from a place of lack. Most importantly, gratitude restores perspective. It reminds you that progress is often quiet and gradual, not loud and instant. It helps you respect the season you're in, even if it's uncomfortable. When you focus on meaning instead of absence, you stop rushing life and start growing through it. That's when discipline becomes easier, patience becomes stronger, and purpose becomes clearer. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you better equipped to move forward. What you appreciate appreciates in value. That principle works in every area of life, whether you recognize it or not. Most people believe value increases when something becomes bigger, louder, or more visible. But real value grows when attention is given with intention. When you appreciate something, you begin to see it clearly, and clarity always increases worth. The problem is not that people don't have enough. The problem is that they overlook what they already have. When you stop appreciating your current position, your job, your relationship, or even your own progress, those things start to feel heavy. They lose meaning. But the moment you pause and say, "I'm thankful for this," something shifts internally. Your perspective widens. You begin to notice details you ignored before. Appreciation sharpens awareness, and awareness deepens value. Think about relationships. When you appreciate people, you listen better. You communicate with more care. You stop taking their presence for granted. As a result, trust grows, bonds strengthen, and respect increases. The relationship didn't change because the person changed, it changed because your appreciation did. The same principle applies to your work. When you value your effort, your discipline improves. You show up with pride instead of pressure. That pride turns into consistency, and consistency turns into growth. Many people chase the next level without honoring the current one. They want more income, more recognition, more opportunities, yet they complain about the stage they're in now. But life responds to appreciation. When you value what you have, you prove you can handle more. Appreciation signals maturity. It shows that you understand the process, not just the reward. Even challenges appreciate and value when you respect them. When you're grateful for lessons instead of bitter about setbacks, your mindset strengthens. You stop seeing difficulty as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. The struggle becomes useful. The delay becomes meaningful. And suddenly, the same situation that once drained you begins to develop you. Self-appreciation matters too. When you appreciate your growth, even if it's slow, your confidence stabilizes. You stop comparing your journey to others. You respect your pace. That self-respect increases your value in your own eyes, and people respond to how you see yourself. Nothing grows where it is constantly criticized, but everything expands where it is appreciated. When you change how you look at what you already have, you don't just feel better, you become better. And as your mindset rises, so does the value of your life, your work, and your future. Gratitude trains your mind to see opportunity, not obstacles, because what you consistently focus on is what your brain learns to search for. The human mind is powerful, but it is also obedient. It follows whatever instructions you give it daily. When you wake up complaining, your mind starts scanning the day for more reasons to be frustrated. But when you wake up thankful, even quietly, even imperfectly, your mind begins to look for solutions instead of excuses. Gratitude doesn't deny problems, it reframes them. It asks, what can I gain from this? Instead of why is this happening to me? Most people think opportunity shows up dressed like success. It doesn't. Opportunity usually shows up disguised as inconvenience, rejection, delay, or discomfort. Without gratitude, you call that bad luck. With gratitude, you call it preparation. When you're thankful, you stop seeing obstacles as walls and start seeing them as classrooms. Every challenge becomes information. Every setback becomes training. Every delay becomes protection. Gratitude sharpens awareness. It slows you down just enough to notice lessons other people rush past. While someone else is angry about losing a job, gratitude allows you to ask what skill you gained, what habits you need to fix, or what direction you were being pushed toward. That shift alone can change the trajectory of a life. The obstacle didn't move, but your perspective did, and that made all the difference. A grateful mind also builds resilience. When you appreciate progress instead of perfection, you don't quit as easily. You understand that growth is layered, not instant. Gratitude teaches patience, and patience keeps you consistent. Consistency is what turns small opportunities into big results. People who lack gratitude quit too early because they only see how far they have to go. Grateful people keep going because they see how far they've already come. Opportunity is often quiet. It doesn't announce itself. Gratitude tunes your ears to hear it. When you're thankful for the process, you stop rushing the outcome. That's when creativity shows up. That's when new ideas form. That's when doors open that weren't even visible before. Gratitude doesn't magically remove obstacles, but it gives you the clarity to navigate through them. Over time, gratitude rewires your thinking. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. You don't panic at resistance because you understand resistance is part of refinement. You don't fear obstacles because you've learned they often carry the instructions for your next level. When gratitude becomes your habit, opportunity becomes your language. You see growth where others see struggle. You see alignment where others see confusion. And eventually what once felt like obstacles become the very reasons you're qualified for the life you're praying for. Complaints block progress because they train your mind to focus on what is wrong instead of what is possible. Every time you complain, you reinforce the idea that you are powerless, that life is happening to you instead of for you. Over time, this mindset quietly shapes your behavior. You stop taking responsibility. You stop looking for solutions. You start waiting for circumstances to change before you do, and that waiting becomes a habit. Growth cannot live in that space because growth demands ownership, awareness, and action. Gratitude works in the opposite direction. Gratitude does not deny difficulty, but it reframes it. When you choose gratitude, you acknowledge the challenge while still recognizing the opportunity inside it. This shift is powerful because the brain responds to what it repeatedly focuses on. Complaints tell your brain to search for problems, while gratitude tells your brain to search for lessons, resources, and ways forward. Over time, this changes how you think, how you react, and how you move. Many people believe they will be grateful after they succeed, but that belief is backwards. Gratitude is what creates the emotional stability required for consistent effort. When you are grateful, you are less distracted by frustration and comparison. You waste less energy being upset about delays and more energy preparing for progress. Gratitude keeps you grounded. And grounded people are able to build steadily instead of quitting emotionally. Complaining also affects discipline. A complaining mindset looks for excuses. It says the timing is wrong, the system is unfair, or the conditions are not perfect. Gratitude, on the other hand, strengthens discipline by reminding you that the opportunity to try is already a privilege. When you are thankful for the chance to work, learn, and improve, you show up even when motivation is low. That consistency is where real growth happens. Gratitude also improves relationships, which are essential for progress. People are naturally drawn to those who appreciate effort, guidance, and support. Complaints push people away, while gratitude builds trust and connection. Strong relationships create access to knowledge, encouragement, and opportunities that cannot be achieved alone. Most importantly, gratitude builds resilience. When setbacks happen, and they always do, a grateful mindset prevents you from collapsing under disappointment. Instead of asking why things went wrong, you ask what can be learned and how to move forward. This keeps momentum alive even during difficult seasons. In the long run, progress is less about talent and more about mindset. Complaints slow you down by keeping you emotionally stuck, while gratitude moves you forward by keeping you mentally strong. When you choose gratitude daily, even in small ways, you unlock steady growth that compounds over time. That is why gratitude is not just a feeling. It is a strategy for lasting progress. Gratitude strengthens faith during uncertainty because it anchors your mind when life feels unstable. When everything around you is unclear, gratitude becomes a reminder that you are still supported, still learning, and still moving forward, even if the path is not fully visible yet. Uncertainty often makes people anxious because they want guarantees before they move. But faith does not operate on guarantees, it operates on trust. Gratitude is the language of that trust. When you give thanks in uncertain seasons, you are not denying reality. You are choosing to believe that the situation is working for you, not against you. Many people only feel thankful when things go their way. But true growth happens when gratitude shows up in moments that do not make sense. When plans fall apart, gratitude keeps you from falling apart with them. It reminds you that delay does not mean denial. And confusion does not mean failure. Instead of asking why things are not happening fast enough, gratitude teaches you to ask what you are being prepared for. That shift alone protects your faith from being weakened by frustration. Uncertainty tests what you really believe. When you cannot see the outcome, gratitude becomes evidence that your faith is alive. It says, I may not understand this chapter, but I trust the author. That mindset gives you emotional stability. It keeps you from reacting impulsively, quitting too early, or making decisions out of fear. Gratitude slows you down enough to recognize that growth often happens in silence and progress often happens behind the scenes. Gratitude also reminds you of what has already carried you through. When you reflect on past challenges you survived, your faith grows stronger in the present moment. You realize that you have been protected before, guided before, and strengthened before. That awareness builds confidence that you will not be abandoned now. Every thankful thought becomes a brick in the foundation of your belief. In uncertain times, gratitude sharpens your perspective. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, you start noticing what is still going right. You may not have everything you want, but you recognize that you have enough to keep going. That awareness fuels perseverance. It allows you to move forward without clarity, knowing that clarity often comes after commitment. Faith grows when gratitude becomes a daily practice rather than a temporary reaction. When you consistently acknowledge lessons, strength, and opportunities hidden inside uncertainty, you develop resilience. You stop seeing uncertainty as a threat and start seeing it as a training ground. Gratitude turns waiting into preparation and fear into expectation. Ultimately, gratitude strengthens faith by reminding you that uncertainty is not the absence of direction, but the space where trust is built. When you learn to be thankful even when you do not have answers, you develop unshakable confidence. And that confidence allows you to walk forward calmly, knowing that what is meant for you will meet you at the right time. Gratitude has a quiet way of reshaping the people you attract and the choices you make. When you operate from a thankful heart, your energy changes and people feel it before you ever speak a word. Gratitude softens your approach, sharpens your awareness, and teaches you how to value people instead of using them. And in a world where many are rushing, competing, and comparing, a grateful person stands out as grounded, trustworthy, and emotionally intelligent. When you're grateful, you listen better. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk or trying to prove something. You respect other people's experiences because you understand that no one owes you anything. That attitude builds stronger relationships, personal and professional. People want to be around someone who appreciates effort, loyalty, and honesty. Gratitude creates an atmosphere where respect grows naturally, not forcefully. Better relationships lead to better decisions. When you're grateful, you don't rush choices out of fear or desperation. You don't attach yourself to the wrong people just because you're lonely or say yes to the wrong opportunities just because you're impatient. Gratitude gives you clarity. It helps you recognize who adds value to your life and who drains it. You stop confusing attention with care and presence with purpose. A grateful person is also more teachable. Instead of assuming you already know everything, you're open to learning from others. That openness improves your judgment. You seek advice instead of reacting emotionally. You think long-term instead of chasing quick validation. Gratitude slows you down just enough to make wiser, more intentional decisions. Here's something important. Gratitude protects you from bitterness. When you're not thankful, you start blaming. And when you blame, your decisions become emotional instead of strategic. Gratitude keeps your heart clean, which keeps your mind clear. And a clear mind makes better choices about money, time, relationships, and direction. Grateful people don't burn bridges unnecessarily. They understand that every connection teaches something. Even difficult relationships become lessons instead of lifelong resentments. That maturity attracts higher quality people who value growth, accountability, and peace. Over time, your circle improves not because you forced it, but because gratitude filtered it. The truth is, who you become determines who you attract, and gratitude shapes who you become. It turns arrogance into humility, impatience into wisdom, and impulsive behavior into thoughtful action. When you're thankful, you don't move recklessly. You move responsibly. If you want better relationships, start with appreciation. If you want better decisions, start with perspective. Gratitude gives you both. And once gratitude becomes part of how you live, not just something you say, your connections deepen, your choices improve, and your life begins to reflect the quality of your mindset. Success grows faster when it's rooted in gratitude, because gratitude keeps you grounded while you're reaching higher. A thankful mindset reminds you that success is not something you are owed. It's something you are trusted with. When you understand that, you stop rushing, you stop forcing, and you start building the right way. Gratitude slows your ego down and sharpens your discipline. It teaches you patience while you're waiting and humility while you're winning. People who lack gratitude often sabotage their own progress. They rush past lessons, overlook support, and burn bridges because they believe success is supposed to come quickly. But when you are thankful, you respect the process. You value the small wins, the quiet improvements, and the unseen growth happening every day. And that respect makes you consistent. Consistency is what success responds to. A thankful mindset also changes how you handle setbacks. Instead of quitting when things don't go as planned, you look for meaning. You ask, what is this preparing me for? Gratitude turns failure into feedback. It allows you to learn without becoming bitter and to adjust without losing confidence. That emotional maturity is rare, and success always finds rare qualities. When you are grateful, you work harder without complaining. You show up early, you stay focused, and you do your best even when no one is watching. Not because you have to, but because you appreciate the opportunity. And opportunities multiply for people who respect them. Gratitude makes you reliable. People trust you more, mentor you more, and invest in you more. That's how success accelerates, through trust and connection. Gratitude also protects you once success arrives. It keeps you from becoming arrogant, careless, or disconnected. It reminds you of where you started, who helped you, and why you began in the first place. A grateful person doesn't feel threatened by other success because they understand there's room for everyone. That mindset attracts collaboration instead of competition, growth instead of conflict. Most importantly, gratitude keeps your success meaningful. Without it, achievements feel empty and temporary. With it, even small victories feel fulfilling. You don't constantly chase validation because you already value the journey. And when success is fulfilling, you don't self-destruct it, you sustain it. So understand this clearly: success doesn't grow fastest in pressure, desperation, or entitlement. It grows fastest in appreciation. When you are thankful for progress, you earn more progress. When you are grateful for the lesson, you receive the reward. And when gratitude becomes your foundation, success doesn't just arrive, it stays. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into powerful lessons. When you learn to slow down and actually see what life is trying to teach you. Most people are so busy chasing the next big thing that they miss the value hidden in the small, everyday experiences. They think lessons only come from major wins or painful losses, but the truth is, life is teaching you something every single day. Gratitude is what sharpens your awareness. It helps you recognize that even the routine, even the uncomfortable, even the seemingly insignificant moments are shaping who you are becoming. When you're grateful, you stop rushing past your life. You begin to notice patterns, warnings, blessings, and opportunities that were always there but ignored. A delay becomes a lesson in patience. A disappointment becomes a lesson in resilience. A quiet season becomes a lesson in self-reflection. Without gratitude, these moments feel like wasted time. With gratitude, they become preparation. Gratitude also changes how you interpret failure. Instead of seeing mistakes as proof that you're not good enough, you begin to see them as instruction. Every misstep shows you what doesn't work. Every setback reveals where you still need growth. When you're thankful for the lesson, instead of bitter about the outcome, you mature faster. You gain wisdom without carrying unnecessary emotional weight. Ordinary moments showing up when you don't feel motivated, listening when you'd rather speak, being consistent when no one is watching, these are the moments that build character. Gratitude helps you respect them. It reminds you that greatness isn't built in one dramatic moment, but in repeated, disciplined actions that most people overlook. When you appreciate the process starts working for you. Gratitude also teaches humility. It reminds you that not everything you have was earned by effort alone. Some things came through timing, support, protection, or grace. That awareness keeps you grounded. It keeps you teachable. And a teachable mind grows faster than a talented one that refuses to learn. Even pain becomes a teacher when gratitude is present. You may not be thankful for what happened, but you can be thankful for what it revealed. Pain shows you your limits, your strength, your boundaries, and your priorities. It shows you what truly matters and what never did. Gratitude allows you to extract value from pain instead of being defined by it. When you start living this way, nothing feels random anymore. Conversations carry meaning. Challenges carry direction. Small wins carry motivation. You realize that life has been speaking to you all along. You just weren't listening. Gratitude turns the volume up on wisdom. And once you understand that every ordinary moment is an opportunity to learn, grow, and adjust, you stop feeling lost. You start feeling guided. You move with intention. You live with awareness. That's when gratitude stops being a feeling and becomes a tool, one that quietly, consistently changes everything.